Well, good morning and welcome to Wells Branch Community Church. My name is Plekenpol. I'm the lead pastor here, and I'm so glad that you guys came today. And we're in the middle of it's like a 10-part series called Margin, and where we're looking specifically at our time and our money. And last week we had our introduction to how we spend our time. And what the Bible calls us to do is to walk wisely, be wise, not unwise, because the days are evil. Not necessarily the days themselves, like we're an evil day, but rather that the way we use our time is either used for God's glory or for evil. There's no spiritual Switzerland, it's one or the other. And so this week, we're going to be getting into money. Yeah, that's sort of the reaction I thought we would get. That's that awkward moment where everyone's like, dang, you brought me on this day, seriously? Like new people are like, really? Thanks for that. And so I want to try to assuage fears right off the bat. We're not going to pass the plate and have the guilt moment, like, everyone, look at the plate, and if there's nothing in there, that's in your soul, right? We're not going to do that. We actually don't pass the plate at all. That's not our thing. If you are a member here, there's a giving box in the back, and people do stuff online most of the time anyway. So passing the plate is sort of awkward and weird. It's like inviting someone for dinner and be like, if you'd like to contribute, here's $20. You put it right in the bucket. In fact, I actually had this a weird sort of situation happen recently. How many guys, you guys know it's like that in-laws, right? We're not in-laws is not a foreign concept. And so Adrian and I have been married for over 5 years now. Pretty awesome, right? Yeah. We made it, right? And so we've been married for 5 years, and recently we went over to Adrian's parents' house a couple months ago, and the way it used to go was this. So ever since we started dating back in the old days, I would go over to Adrian's parents' house, and Adrian's mom would just dote over me. It was glorious. Be like, no, don't move. I got that. And food would appear in front of me, and no, don't get up. I mean, she was it was a little bit tough. And at one point I go, I think your mom likes me more than you, Adrian. And then, time passed. I really liked going over to their house. I'd just be sitting back, and there'd be a flurry of activity going on around me, and I'm just more ice cream, please. And it was just great. It was great. And then a couple months ago, Adrian's mom, Jennifer, she started getting really awkward before dinner. It was she was, how someone's trying to tell you something, they don't know how to say it, and she's like, tonight we're gonna have different roles. And I'm like, sweet rolls, I love rolls, bread, it's great, keep it coming. I like the pretzel rolls, those are delicious. And she keeps going as if this is, I didn't get it. And she's like, we're gonna be having different roles and responsibilities about the dinner table. And I'm like, she's getting it. And all of a sudden it sort of hit me. I think she wanted me to be involved, because I had fridge access. You guys know what I'm talking about, fridge access? You can walk up to the fridge, open it, and get anything you want out of there. Anyone know? No one else knows what I'm talking about. So I have fridge access. Maybe you guys don't have this blessing in your family, but I just open up that fridge, and I'm like, what do I want today? Bam, I get it. I sit down like I own the place. It's a pretty great deal. And so I think with the perks comes some responsibility. I think she was kind of hinting at the fact I wasn't doing my fair share of the part, because I do nothing of the cooking. If Adrian doesn't cook for me, it's Taco Bell or McDonald's. So that's how it happens at our house. No, seriously. And so she gets this, and she goes, so Chris, you can be in charge of clearing the table. And I'm like, I got it. She wants me to do something. All right, fair enough. That's fair. I've been in the family for 5 years. I kind of moved from a guest who got served to be a family member who did some serving. You guys with me? And so that's sort of how I feel feel about like talking about this money issue. Like if you're a guest here and you're just showing up, and you're like, what did you drag me here for? Like you can like rest assured, we're not going to like talk about your money. We're going to talk about other people's money, which is more fun to talk about, right? Because if you are a Christian, you call yourself a follower of Christ, a member of this church, then we're going to be having like a dear conversation because we're family. That's how we talk. And I would be a horrible pastor if I got into your business about like porn and like how you spend your time and like, stop Netflix binging, and if I, said all that and like, got on guys about video games and, all that sort of stuff, and I'm like, let's not talk about money because that's awkward. Because we've had the sex sermon. Like, how many times have we talked about sex sermon? Like, it's like all the time. Like if you're new here, you're like, oh, wow, that's that kind of church. Yeah, we're that. I mean, we talk about it. And so I want to get to the place where we're comfortable talking about money, because guys are like, yeah, man, I'm really struggling with some porn issues, but like, don't ask about money. Like, just don't talk about that because it's my money. Don't talk about how I spend my money, how I want to spend my money. So we're going to talk about money because here the primary reason for this is that we are the richest 1% of the planet. Did you guys know that? Nobody knew that. All right, well, we are the richest 1%. Congratulations, you made it. You're rich. And for some reason, we don't feel rich. In fact, 7 out of 10 of us, like 70% of us here at this church, I'm just generalizing, that's 7 out of 10 Americans. You guys aren't in America, hence, that's my stat. So 7 out of 10 of us live paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean by that? It's like this. Like if that paycheck doesn't come through, you're going, oh no, and it's hitting the fan. And then we are a problem. We have issues here with our family. We're the richest people in the world, and yet we're living paycheck to paycheck. In fact, 32% of us, if a crisis hit of like $5,000 or more, we would have to take a loan to cover that crisis. So if the car breaks down, some of us are losing our job because we can't figure out how to pay for that car to get fixed. And we're in a bad spot, a bad way, and we need some financial margin so we're not stressed out of our minds. Because you would say to me, Chris, I just want to be happy. I don't need to be a billionaire. Now, I need to be like, Michael Bloomberg, Donald Trump, Bill Gates. I just want to be happy. And if you can't be happy when you're making a little, trust me, you won't be happy when you make a lot. Because something happens in our finances where we just expand the money we spend based on how much we take in. And what happens is we usually expand our money beyond what we take in. So for a lot of us, we're living our life based on how much credit card we can manage, right? You guys know. And so this morning, I want to, as we're talking about this thing of margin, and when we talk about our money, because this is where a lot of us live, the paycheck to paycheck world, I want you to understand something. God doesn't want something from you. He doesn't need your money. God wants something for you. And the elders of this church wanted us to come around the idea of leading our church to the understanding of how God calls us to manage our money. And so this morning we're going to look at money as a tool for God to reveal our true treasure. Okay, so that's where we're going. We're in Matthew. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 6 this morning. We're going to start verse 19. If you have a Bible, raise your hand in the air, wave it like you do care, and a Bible will come to you. If you don't have a Bible like at all, this is our gift to you. You can take it home, write your name in it. We are so glad you're here. We want everyone to treasure God's Word. All right, here we go. We're in Matthew chapter 6, and the Bibles are passing out. It's page 811. We're starting at verse 19. The verses are the little numbers right next to the words. And we're going to be starting at verse 19. All right, Matthew 6, verse 19. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. I'm going to pause real quick because you're just like, I haven't had moths usually on the outside of our apartment, outside of our house. I don't have any problem with moths. But in the culture that Jesus is writing, you had like one cloak. Like, clothing was so expensive that you usually had one, and then you pass it down to your children, who would pass it down to their children's children. They didn't live in a consumer society. They lived in like a legacy society where you had something and you pass it down as an inheritance to your kids. So if you had 2 cloaks, you were considered loaded. It's like having 2 houses. What do you need 2 houses? And so the moths would be, that would destroy your clothes, or rust would destroy your stuff because oxidation of metal makes it worthless over time. Or thieves would break in and steal. So don't do that, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So here's what Jesus teaches. He teaches his disciples to put their hearts in heaven. And the way you put your heart in heaven is by putting your treasure there first. It's like sending your treasure ahead. Now, this is sort of the reason why is because if you try and maintain like treasures on earth, you are going to have to create some serious defense mechanisms. Okay? It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger on Mobile Strike. Build walls higher than they have to be 10 times. You guys are not watching that football. It's a commercial. All right, anyway. And so what happens is you build up your defenses to defend against everything on the planet is geared to destroy your wealth. Just take a look at the stock market. You have a certain amount of time. It's going to take a downfall. You better kind of build up barriers against it. In fact, if you guys listen to talk radio, Christopher Line is like on every single week, he's telling me like, the stock market's going to crash. What are you going to do? If you're like 60 years old, you're pretty much doomed. You're going to die unless you listen to my show and buy my product. Then you'll be safe. Like that's sort of how it goes, is we live in this fear society that if you don't consume it now, it's eventually going to get stolen, or if you don't prepare yourself for the ultimate like catastrophic moment on the planet, because at any given moment, the entire society which we live in is going to come, break down, and you're going to lose it all. That we live in this sort of fear-mongering society. Isn't that true? And so I feel like we have the sense of treasuring a lot of stuff on earth, and we're in constant defense mode. But the reality is, because we live in a consumeristic society, it's kind of weird to figure out what we really treasure. So I'll put it to you this way. So yesterday, there was a garage sale in Steiner Ranch. Okay, and so Adrian told me about it a couple weeks ahead. Garage sale, Steiner Ranch. And so we had to go camp out there the night before to make it to the garage sale first. Now, it helps that our parents live out there, but we were camping out at our parents' house, all right? So there we were, poised to strike the garage sale. And Adrian, usually I drive, all right? She takes the wheel, and she's driving this thing like a bank robber, like the wheelman of the bank robber, and let's go! She's driving on the wrong side of the road, pulled over. This will be a second. She's out the door. Do you have any boys' clothes? Do you have any boys' clothes? No, I'm out of here. She gets back and goes, let's go! And she had a list printed out of a map of all these places we gotta hit. I mean, we're hitting them. We're not just stopping by. And I'm just like, what happened? There's something to do. Let's keep it moving. So we get back in the car. I mean, we're on a time clock. I mean, seriously, she should have been in some. I mean, she'd be a great bank robber, wouldn't it? All right. So anyway, and as I'm looking around, dazed by the speed in which we're hitting the different garage sales, I'm noticing there are these massive behemoth things called TVs. Not like TVs, which are this thick, and we're talking had a back end as wide as they were. I mean, they're huge. And they're selling them for $25. Now, however many moons ago that these things, they were probably $10,000 at one time, and they were I need this TV. They didn't even know that size TV existed beforehand, but once they saw it, it was I've been waiting for you my whole life. And then a short time later, it ends up at a garage sale on its way to the dump. So you know what that person treasures? It's not necessarily TVs or gadgets. They want someone to go, wow, your TV is huge. I don't ever need to go to actual pro football game again. I can just watch TV and they're bigger than real life. But that's what we're wanting someone to tell us that. I remember, and I'll just throw Kevin Stafford under the bus. A couple years ago, Adrian and I in our apartment, we had a 28-inch screen TV that we actually mounted on our wall. And I didn't realize that big TVs were a thing until Kevin let me know. And he comes in and goes, bro, you actually mounted that thing. I didn't even know they made TVs that small. We now have a 52.5-inch TV, all right? We settled that. somebody else's garage sale and we jumped in it. But that's, you know what we treasure? You know what we treasure? We treasure people treasuring us. We want someone to go, oh, you're so great. Here's where this comes out. Just if you want to know what you treasure, where does your money go most effortlessly? Like, you don't even think about it. So, fantasy football season has started, okay? I had a moment of weakness, and it was because this is where my money goes effortlessly. As I was preparing to destroy Grayson last week, this little ad for an app popped up. It was $5 for a fantasy football coach. You guys know what I'm talking about? So like somebody, like it's like you're somebody to help manage your team, like advice. And it was $5. I'm like, $5 for the whole season? If I could beat Grayson week 1? Worth it. And so I bought that app, right? Because I treasure Grayson going like, I don't know how you're so smart. You defeated me by 35 points. I don't know how that even happened. And to be honest with you, I was like, Jordan Reed, you've got to score a touchdown here. I got beaten by 40 points. You know, like there's those moments because I want you to look at me and go like, you were so smart. How did you ever have time to analyze the waiver wire like that? It was amazing. You are so gifted at fantasy football. There's something in me that wants that so desperately. But it's not just me. You're like this. This is why guys will spend $150 to $200 on our bodies, right? Got the gym membership, I got all the protein, I got the supplements, and the next thing you know, I'm like going into debt because what do I try? I treasure someone looking at me going like, yeah, you can take me. Like that's what we want. That's all guys. And if you want to eat down, it's not that they actually care about their health. That is not it. It's they want to walk into a room and be like, take everybody here, every one of you. Girls do the same thing. You do it all with manis and petties. I mean, you're just like, oh, she's so cute. Look at that. Like, you're wanted. We want people to treasure us. But what Jesus wants from us is to put our treasure in heaven. Our treasure in heaven. Because wherever our treasure goes, our heart follows. Just put $100 in the stock market. You'll be staring at every single day. And you'll have panic attacks. We just by our own who we are, we care about the stuff we spend money on. We just do. And so what I want us to see that the Lord isn't necessarily, God's not going like, man, I just need a few extra bucks. There's a couple more programs I want to knock out in India, in Africa. Can you guys help me out? I'm really low on funds. Like that's not God's issue. Like he created it all. Like he's the designer of the universe. He made you. He made money. He's not going like, man, if I said a couple more bucks. No, it's not about the money. It's about what you treasure. And Jesus wants our treasure to be Jesus. Because he lives in heaven. For a lot of us, our treasure is here. And we just want to be little demigods where everyone goes, oh, you are awesome. Oh, mighty smiter of other fantasy football teams. Oh, you conqueror of all that is metal, and you lift the weights. Like we want people to look at us in that way. And so Jesus is saying, listen, your heart, I want it with me. So I want the first of your funds to be here. Because everything else will follow. But here's what happens with us is that, because you guys remember becoming a Christian, and for a lot of us it was like snotty tears, and you're like, I can't believe it, or you're just like, I'm doomed for hell unless somebody saves me. Like you remember this moment, right? You remember what happened, and at that moment you're like, Jesus, whatever you want. I'll give you what, Africa, Asia, Mars, I'm there. Wherever you want me to go, I will go. Whatever you want me to give, you remember that. But then something happened over the course of time, which is why coming to church is actually like an important thing, because it reminds you where your hope is. That's why time with God reminds you where your hope is, and so we don't get our eyes diverted to what the culture is telling us to buy. You need this. You deserve it. You deserve it. And we start to believe it. Because when you're told something over and over and over, and it sounds really good, it sounds really true, eventually you're like, hey, that's really true, I do deserve that. My life is really hard. I'm not very rich. I'm very poor. Somebody owes me something, and I just need something for me. We start to become blinded to where our treasure is. In fact, Jesus points this out. Look, this is what Jesus says. He's like, check this out, guys. The eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, meaning like you can see, your whole body will be full of light. It's like a force multiplier. Like when you start looking at one thing and you have the right eyes to see, you can make the right investments, you can manage things really well because you have all the information, you make really great decisions, which help ultimately propel your life in a positive direction. But if your eye's bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? This isn't like an ophthalmology quiz. This is a spiritual principle of how your eyes see. Because this is sometimes what we don't realize. Like, money is like, it's like this. It's like that. Bricks, right? All right, so when Adrian and I bought our house, we had a whole bunch of these things in the backyard. What do we do with those? I don't know. I might need them for sermon illustration one day. So here we are. So bricks are just tools. This is not evil or good. Now, if I take this brick and I chuck it into the crowd, it hits somebody in the head, and they have to go to the hospital, that's a bad day, right? Like, I use the brick for ill purposes. But I could take this brick and get a whole bunch more like them, and then start like building a school or a hospital or a church. You were thinking it, weren't you? All right, so I could build a church with it. Now I've used this thing for a positive thing that moves kingdom forward, and money is no different. It's just a tool. But when you obsess over the tool, it becomes a god, and it becomes the root of all kinds of evil. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Because when you obsess over the brick, well, that's just weird. That's just not my brick. Some of you have old cell phones, and it's like this. So you're like, I'm a happy brick. I just want to cloud it. Right? And so what happens here is that what Jesus is saying is that what happens over time is that we don't even realize that we're drifting towards slavery. We're becoming more blinded to the truth of that God like sort of owns it all, that God is in complete control. And so what happens is we start to feel like we're in control and that we need something, and when we don't have it, it's like you didn't, like for example, when you're on an airplane and you found out they had Wi-Fi, you got angry because you know it's not working right. You didn't even know it existed, but you got angry about it. But that's how a lot of our life is, because we are living our life in this world where we deserve, and the customer's always right. And it's a great way to practice a business, but it's a horrible way to live your life because you will always feel entitled. Which is why, listen, if you are consumed with money, you'll never have enough money. You'll never have enough. Like you'll start socking money away, and you'll be like, no. What if we get invaded by Russia, they start in Mexico, they start moving their way for us? So I saw a movie once, Red Dawn. You'll start thinking like that. Or let's say if you're so consumed with beauty, you'll spend whatever money you can, and you'll never, ever be skinny enough, and you'll never, ever be pretty enough, and you'll always think you're ugly. You're consumed with your body as a guy. You can't get big enough. You can't lift enough. There's always some guy lifting more, and you're always like, dang. You'll never win. And that's what happens when we get deceived by this culture in the world. We get to start thinking that we can control it, that if I just did this, and I can get it all together, and that is a lie. What happens, we start to become a slave, and monetarily, financially, we become a slave to the credit card, Visa, MasterCard, whoever, because I just need that. If I just swipe it, I can have it. You know, like with Barbies today, if you buy a Barbie today, it comes with like a credit card and a little swiping thing so that you can get the kids practicing swiping the credit card. I'm not making that up, it's a thing. Accepted. That's what it says. It's like, yay, you're accepted. I'm treasured. Somebody's treasuring me because I can have all that my heart desires, and we are deceived. And how great is that darkness? But what happens if we would use the insight that God has? Because like God designed the world, like put the world in motion, moon, stars, galaxies, universe, He designed it all. And is it possible that He knows how money and society is supposed to function? Because I think for a lot of us, we're like, God, you got the whole salvation thing down. You didn't take economics like I did. You don't know the way the U.S. works because apparently you're old. And I think that's where we go with God. We kind of relegate him to the old guy in the sky, like he's grandpa. Oh, you're cute up there, grandpa. And what we don't want to do is start giving grandpa like access to our funds because he might tell us to do something stupid like save it. Who does that? Or he might tell us to do something stupid like give it to him so that we don't make idols out of our money and we learn how to live within margin. Because what happens, this is the truth, is that what Jesus is saying is, I want your eyes to be on heaven and not on you. But what happens for me and what happens for you, because remember, this is a sensitive issue, and men specifically get really kind of tied up with this. Don't tell me what to do with my money. I do what I want to do. I'm the captain of my soul. I'm the master of my fate. And we're like quoting Invictus. We don't even know what that's from. And what we're saying here is that, but out of my business. And you know what? If you're not a Christian, you have every right to say that. Because you don't have access to the God of the universe who treasures you so much that he gave his son Jesus to die on the cross, rose from the dead, and gave you eternal life. But for those of us who are family, he has our soul. And so we got to open up our eyes to the fact that we're becoming slaves to the very thing that we thought might bring us freedom is actually bringing us chains. Jesus wants us to wake up to say, you aren't the captain of your soul. You're not the master of your faith. And the reason we know that is you're a terminal. Not just cancer patients are terminal. You are terminal. At some point, you are going to be in a grave. At some point, you are going to be dead. Everybody here. There isn't anyone here from the 18th century. There isn't. We have a limited time here, and so if we make treasures here, we become deceived. And we're living in darkness thinking this is going to last. Which is why, ultimately, that's going to point us to this last piece. Watch this. Verse 24. No one can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or he'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. And if you're like a King James person here, this would say God and mammon. And mammon is just like the Aramaic term for like the God of money. It's like the personification or the godification of money. You cannot serve and worship the God of money. Because what you're doing is you're worshiping the God of the culture. And wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart. So you either take it to Jesus or you plant it with the God of this world. Your money is not, it's a tool, but it's a force multiplier. Remember, if I take this brick and I start chucking it at people, this magnifies the jerk that I am. But if with this brick I start building buildings and schools, start doing really great things, it magnifies my amazing awesomeness. And that's exactly what money does. It just magnifies the intensity and the power with which you are serving your master. Are you with me? And so the question becomes, who's your master? Money reveals who rules in your heaven. Because you are a slave to that whichever you obey. Did you know that? You're a slave to that which you obey. And if you say, I need this because I have to have this, then you're a slave to that need. You're a slave to it. That's an addiction. You're a slave to whatever it is that you ultimately obey. You're like, I'm the king. I obey me. Well, then you rule in your heaven. Who rules in your heaven? The thing about this, it isn't just about you. Can we just, I need everyone looking for a second. This isn't just about you. Because for a lot of us, we're a fairly young group here. And we want a family, and we want kids. And you are teaching your children how to live either within margin or you're teaching them to live paycheck to paycheck by how you spend your money, by what you value, by what you treasure. So what lesson are you teaching them? Because they ultimately will do what they've been taught. The best lessons in life are always caught, not taught. So if you say, like, don't spend your money all in one place, or that you are spending all your money in one place and it gets eaten up and you are frantic and you're flustered and you're angry because of finances, then they're going to learn that's just the way it is in life. And they're going to be angry and frustrated and they're going to be flustered with finances. In fact, Adrian and I, we've got 2 boys. Austin is 3. We actually have 3 boys. Austin is 3, Jet is 1, and then we have baby Plekenpol, who is negative like 6 months. Okay. And one day, I can see this happening soon when they all kind of understand. And we have a circular table in the kitchen. I want them all to be able to see it. I'm going to get for them. I want to write big checks to this church. And I want them to ask the question, Daddy, why are you doing that? Why would you write that amount of money? I said, I want to tell you a story. There's a time when your dad wasn't such a good person. There was a time when your daddy hurt people and used them. There was a time when your daddy did dark things. A lot of stuff he's not proud of. And the God of this universe, who owns all the money in the world, came and met me when I was just in my 20s. And all my darkness, all my shame, he paid for it by sending his son Jesus to die on the cross for my sins. And he rose from the dead. And so I want the first of my treasure to always go to our God and King. And I'm hoping that one day Austin and Jet and baby Plekenpol will grow up one day. They got their kids around and said, listen, boys, girls, my daddy taught me this a long time ago. He taught me that our soul, that our master lives in heaven. His name is Jesus. He died on the cross for our sins and he rose from the dead. So our first of our treasure always goes to him. My heart's cry, my heart's prayer is that they would learn that. Not because I told them, because they saw it. You guys want this for your family. You don't want them going paycheck to paycheck, going, I don't know if I can make it. But why 7 out of 10 of us are teaching our kids? So that means that we're going to have to learn how to do this. We're going to have to learn how to do this, how to teach it, how to live it. We're going to have to learn that. And so what we're going to do over the next several weeks, we're going to do something called Financial Peace University in all of our community groups. And I want every one of you guys to sign up for it. I want every one of us to be going through financial peace because we're going to learn how to have Jesus be on the throne in heaven and how he wants us to manage his money. He rules in heaven. He rules our lives. He rules our hearts. And that's what I want from this church. Because wouldn't it be crazy countercultural? I mean, people go like, why not go eat out? Why not just put on the credit card? And you would do something countercultural and people go like, why? And all of a sudden you're not living stressed out. In fact, instead of needing someone to give you a check, you're the one going like, hey, let me help you out. $1,000, no sweat. I'll put that in your pocket. Because we all talk about stories of someone gave us $1,000 or $5,000 that came through. We thank God. But wouldn't it be great if God used you as the person who gave somebody $1,000, $5,000, you came through for them? How awesome would that be? It would change the world. And this church could be a beacon of hope because we learn how to use our finances in a way that God would be on that. So, the question I have for you guys this morning is, according to your money, your bank statement, credit card statement, who rules in your heaven? Where does your money go first and most effortlessly? That's the question I want you to think about. Because this morning we're going to take communion. And communion is a powerful time for family. It's for Christians. Because what Jesus did on the night before he was betrayed, he took bread, he broke it, and he gave it to his disciples saying, "This is my body, broken for you." Whenever you guys get together, break it, take it, remember my body was broken for you. And then he took wine. This is grape juice, wine. He took wine. He said, "This is the blood of my covenant. This is my blood shed for you and for all people for the forgiveness of sins. And for those that you've been forgiven, for those that my blood covered, I want you to drink of this cup to remember the blood I shed for you. Do it in remembrance of me." And we do this regularly, we do this frequently, so that we come back and we're reminded what this whole thing is about. Because I think for some of us, God was really, really real at one point. And then he stopped being so real. Because our life got busy, and the culture started shouting, and things started happening. And so this morning, I want us to reflect upon that. If you're a Christian here, before you come and take communion, I want you to just sit there and ask yourself this question: who rules my heaven? Is my treasure first go to Jesus, or does it go to something else? And if it's something else, I want you to repent of that, get in your chair, and then when you're ready, you come up and take communion. And if you're not a Christian here today, I don't want you to come take communion. It's just like, it's like weird to take communion. Some of you don't believe it. But you might be thinking, today's the day that I'm going to believe in this. Like, it's true. Like, Jesus saved me. He died on the cross for my sins. He rose from the dead. And like, you've been changed, you've been transformed. And like something I said, or something through the worship, something connected with you, and you're like, I want that. That's me. Then you come. This will be your first communion. Where you come, you take the bread, you dip it in the wine, and you remember Jesus died on the cross for your sins, being raised from the dead for you and for your salvation. And he is your treasure. What a great day that would be. Would you guys pray with me? Father, we're going to take communion today. And God, I'm praying that people would think first about what ultimately is their true treasure, and their true treasure would be in heaven. It would be with you. And Father, as they come and partake of the bread and of the wine, they would remember your body and your blood. And that is their ultimate treasure, that you, Jesus, who live in heaven, is their treasure. And Father, for those of us here who aren't Christians, that today might be the day they come to believe that Jesus, you died on the cross for their sins. And it was very personal and very real. And you rose from the dead, and you gave that Holy Spirit this morning. And God, I pray that they would come up in confidence to take communion and be a part of the family, saying, I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to my sin and darkness. Father, thank you. God, I'm praying that this church would be so countercultural with the way we spend money, that we wouldn't be just caught up in debt, we wouldn't just be caught up in the struggle, we would be caught up with you. We worship you, Father. We glorify you, God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Imagine what would happen if our true treasure was in heaven. Imagine how countercultural, how weird it would be if we had margin enough to cover somebody else's shortfall. Not just your own. Imagine your children growing up having a proper understanding of finances when they watch you do it so well. Because they're going to learn no matter what. Because you're always teaching them. Let's be a church that does it differently. Would you receive the benediction? Go and be a people involved